Men in Black wasn't just a summer comedy, it was a conspiracy wrapped in Ray-Bans and cosmic irony. Hidden in every frame were creatures you never saw, props loaded with meaning, visual clues planted like breadcrumbs through a world-building masterclass. Smith almost said no. Jones rewrote his character to avoid being a punchline, and the final marble scene took 2 days to render on computers that nearly crashed under the weight of swirling galaxies. These are 20 secret details you missed in Men in Black. Number 1. The film begins with a dragonfly drifting through the desert night, wings catching light, free and fragile. Then it hits Jay's windshield. Splat, gone. Most viewers assume it's just atmosphere, mood setting for what comes next, but it's far more deliberate than that. Director Barry Sonnenfeld later confirmed the dragonfly was a visual metaphor for Earth itself. Beautiful, delicate, unaware of how small it really is in the cosmic food chain. The dragonfly wasn't scripted originally, it was added during pre-production when Sonnenfeld wanted a visual hook that conveyed scale without dialogue. He instructed the crew to film real insects under controlled lighting, capturing their translucence and movement. The final shot blends practical footage with CGI enhancement to create something hypnotic, then violent. 1 second of screen time, one crushed insect, and the entire thematic foundation of Men in Black delivered without a single word. Number 2. When the Men in Black script landed on Will Smith's desk in early 1996, he read it and passed. Hard pass. He'd just finished Independence Day, another alien invasion blockbuster, and didn't want to be typecast as the guy who fights space creatures. His agent pushed back. The studio pushed back. Smith held firm. Steven Spielberg didn't pitch the movie as sci-fi. He pitched it as a buddy cop film that happened to involve aliens. He told Smith the role wasn't about saving the world, it was about swagger, comedy timing, and screen chemistry with Tommy Lee Jones. Smith later admitted, when Spielberg shows up at your door, you say yes. 2 weeks later, he signed on, and Jay became one of the defining roles of his career. Number 3. Tommy Lee Jones was offered the role of Agent K in 1996, and his first response was a flat refusal. He didn't want to play a bumbling mentor or comic relief sidekick. The original script had K cracking jokes, explaining too much, acting more like a tour guide than a legend. The studio agreed and brought in script doctors to rework K's dialogue. They stripped out exposition, cut the wisecracks, and gave Jones room to play the role with bone-dry minimalism. What emerged was one of sci-fi's most iconic straight men, a character who never laughs, never panics, and treats the impossible like paperwork. Jones didn't just shape the role, he became the gravitational center of the film, the anchor that let Will Smith fly, and the chemistry between them, serious versus chaotic, turned a goofy alien comedy into something far sharper. Number 4. During the alien arrival sequence at MIB headquarters, dozens of extraterrestrials shuffle through customs, disguised in human bodies. The scene moves fast, filled with practical suits, animatronics, and quick cuts. But if you freeze certain frames, you'll notice something strange. Several of the alien silhouettes are modeled after real celebrities. The VFX team ran with the idea, including Hollywood stars like Sylvester Stallone, Danny DeVito, and Dionne Warwick, subtly altering facial structures and body proportions to resemble famous actors and musicians without making it obvious. The gag was meant to reward eagle-eyed viewers who paused the tape or watched the scene multiple times. None of the celebrities were officially credited or informed, making it a true hidden detail. Decades later, fans still debate which silhouettes match which stars, turning a throwaway joke into one of the film's most enduring mysteries. Number 5. When Jay takes the written test during his MIB evaluation, he sits in a sterile white room surrounded by other candidates. The chairs are awkwardly spaced, the lighting feels clinical, and the acoustics make every sound sharp and intrusive. But watch closely. The chairs around Jay shift positions between shots. Not subtly, entire seats slide across the floor with loud scraping sounds that don't match their movement. This wasn't a continuity error, it was deliberate spatial manipulation designed to make the room feel unnervingly bureaucratic and alien. Production designer Bo Welch later explained that the MIB headquarters was meant to feel like a place built by non-humans trying to mimic human government buildings but getting the details slightly wrong. Even the environment is extraterrestrial, and most viewers never consciously notice, they just feel uneasy. Number 6. The tiny gun handed to Jay during his weapons orientation wasn't in the original script, it was added during pre-production as a visual gag by the prop department. They built an absurdly small firearm, barely larger than a Derringer, and presented it to Will Smith on camera without telling him how ridiculous it would look. The noisy cricket became one of the film's most iconic weapons, not because of its destructive power, but because of Smith's performance. The way he recoils, the way his face registers disbelief, the way he side-eyes Agent K like he's been pranked. None of it was scripted, and when the gun fires later, sending Jay flying backward through the air, the joke pays off perfectly. A weapon so small it defies logic, and a reaction so real it became legendary. Number 7. The jittery, hyperactive worm aliens living in MIB headquarters weren't based on any comic book source material. They came from a Nescafe 1990s coffee commercial featuring chaotic, caffeinated puppets bouncing off walls and talking over each other. The creature designers loved the energy and decided to channel it into alien form. They gave the worms bulging eyes, rapid-fire dialogue, and perpetually manic behavior, treating them like extraterrestrial addicts hooked on stimulants. The worms were built as animatronic puppets, controlled by a team of puppeteers working below the set. Their movements were deliberately erratic, their voices layered and overlapping to create auditory chaos. Barry Sonnenfeld encouraged the voice actors to interrupt each other, finish each other's sentences, and never stop moving. The result was a species that felt alive, unpredictable, and slightly unhinged, and all of it traced back to a forgotten ad for instant coffee. Number 8. The massive white room where Jay first enters the Men in Black agency wasn't a soundstage. It was a decommissioned bank vault in Manhattan. The production team scouted locations for weeks, searching for a space that felt cold, institutional, and uncomfortably large. When they found the vault, they knew immediately it was perfect. The sterile acoustics, the metal panels, the echo-heavy silence. It naturally sounded governmental and unnerving without any audio manipulation. The crew filmed inside the vault for 3 days, using its original architecture as the foundation for MIB headquarters. Many of the metal panels visible on screen were part of the vault's original security structure. The production added lighting rigs, workstations, and alien tech props, but the bones of the space remained untouched. Walking onto that set felt like stepping into a classified government facility, because in a sense, it had been one. Number 9. The swirling wormhole that appears behind the MIB logo during the end credits wasn't created specifically for Men in Black. It was originally designed for another Sony sci-fi project that never made it to theaters. Rather than scrap the expensive VFX work, the team repurposed it, adding alien glyphs, star clusters, and gravitational distortions to match the MIB universe. The reuse saved thousands of dollars and weeks of rendering time, but it also became one of the franchise's most iconic visual signatures. That spiraling tunnel of light and energy appeared in sequels, video games, and promotional materials for years. Fans who spotted it across different media began piecing together the recycled origins, turning budget efficiency into accidental lore. What started as borrowed effects became branding that defined a franchise. Number 10. The nighttime chase sequence at the start of the film was shot on location in New York City. Sirens blaring, tires screeching, gunshot blanks echoing off buildings. It looked and sounded like a real police pursuit. So realistic, in fact, that nearby residents flooded the local precinct with noise complaints, convinced an actual criminal was fleeing through their neighborhood. Will Smith later joked that if timing had been off by a few minutes, he could have been arrested while filming a chase scene about getting arrested. The city forced the crew to finish the entire sequence between 4 and 6 in the morning to avoid triggering more emergency responses. They had one shot per setup, no room for error, and constant pressure from officials threatening to pull the permit. What made it to screen wasn't just good filmmaking, it was survival. Number 11. Jeebs' Pawn Shop, the seedy storefront where illegal alien weapons are bought and sold, has a weathered sign hanging above the entrance. Most viewers glance at it and move on, but embedded in the lettering are alien glyphs mixed into the design. When translated using the visual language established later in the film, the symbols read, "Licensed to trade with off-world species." It's a legal disclaimer written in extraterrestrial script, a joke so subtle that even die-hard fans miss it on repeat viewings. The prop department added it as an Easter egg for anyone obsessive enough to decode the alien alphabet, and it works on 2 levels. It's funny, and it deepens world building, suggesting that even black market arms dealers need permits in the MIB universe. Number 12. The police officer Jay trains the neuralyzer on during his first field test was played by an actual off-duty cop. The production hired him for authenticity, figuring a real officer would know how to stand, move, and react naturally. But there was one problem. He kept breaking character because he found Will Smith too funny. Every take, Smith would deliver the line, flash the memory erasing device, and the officer would crack up. They burned through a dozen takes before finally capturing one where the cop stayed stone-faced. The version you see in the film was the only clean take they got, and even then, if you watch closely, you can see the faintest hint of a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. A real cop struggling not to laugh while an alien conspiracy unfolds around him. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Number 13. In one background shot inside MIB headquarters, a metallic control panel sits among the alien technology. It's easy to miss, buried in the clutter of flashing lights and strange machinery, but that panel is real. It was borrowed directly from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and disguised as extraterrestrial equipment. Spielberg wanted the headquarters to feel grounded in actual science, even if the aliens weren't, so the production even reached out to NASA, explained the concept, and asked to borrow decommissioned aerospace hardware. NASA agreed on one condition: don't damage it. The panel appears on screen for maybe 5 seconds total, but its presence adds a layer of authenticity that subconsciously registers with viewers, because the best fictional technology is built on real bones. Number 14. Early in the film, a small ornate box appears during a scene involving alien artifacts. It's intricate, detailed, and shaped like a miniature galaxy. Most viewers forget about it immediately, but that box is the exact same shape and design as the Orion Galaxy Collar revealed at the film's climax. It's a visual clue planted in plain sight, hinting that big things have small beginnings. The production design team placed Easter eggs like this throughout the film, rewarding attentive viewers who caught the connections. The jewel box wasn't just decoration, it was foreshadowing disguised as a prop, and when the final reveal happens, when the galaxy hidden in Orion's collar is unveiled, the shape echoes back to that forgotten box, a breadcrumb most people stepped right over. Number 15. The dying alien ambassador who crashes on Earth and delivers the warning about the galaxy was designed in early drafts as a towering figure inside a massive mechanical exosuit over 7 feet tall. The creature would have been imposing, intimidating, and visually spectacular, but Spielberg scrapped the design after seeing test footage. He argued the moment worked better if the alien was fragile, small, and vulnerable. The contrast between the tiny extraterrestrial and the enormous cosmic stakes made the death scene more emotional. When the ambassador dies, it's not a warrior falling in battle, it's a diplomat collapsing under the weight of a mission too big to survive. Spielberg knew that fragility would resonate more than spectacle, and he was right. The scene became one of the film's most poignant moments, not despite the small design, but because of it. Number 16. Actor Vincent D'Onofrio's performance as Edgar, the farmer possessed by an alien bug wearing his skin like an ill-fitting suit, is one of the film's most grotesque achievements. But the makeup design didn't come from imagination alone. The effects team studied medical photographs of actual human decomposition, focusing on bloating, skin slippage, and post-mortem discoloration. D'Onofrio later said it was the most disgusting reference material he'd ever been shown, but it informed every choice he made. The way Edgar moves, too loose in his own skin, the way his face sags and stretches, the way his body seems to barely hold together, all of it grounded in forensic reality. The performance is comedic and horrifying in equal measure, and the horror comes from how real the decay looks. Number 17. When Edgar walks outside after being possessed by the bug, the camera lingers on the night sky for just a moment. Most viewers focus on Edgar, on his strange movements and slurred speech, but in the background, barely visible through the clouds, a small triangular UFO darts across the frame and disappears. The VFX team added it as a blink and you miss it teaser, a hint that Earth was already being watched long before the bug arrived. It's the kind of detail that only reveals itself on repeat viewings, when you're no longer following the plot and start scanning the edges of the frame, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The invasion didn't start with Edgar, it had already begun. Number 18. When Agent K sits on the bench and quietly retires from the MIB, the scene feels calm, reflective, almost melancholy. But watch the windows of the passing cars behind him. The reflections are distorted, showing shapes and angles that don't match the street. The VFX team applied a subtle refraction filter meant to mimic a world slightly bent by alien influence. It's not obvious enough to distract, but it's present enough to create unease. The implication is that even in this peaceful moment, reality is still being manipulated. K is sitting in a world that isn't quite right, that will never be normal again, and the reflections, those impossible shapes gliding past, are the film's final reminder that nothing in Men in Black is ever exactly what it seems. Number 19. In 1997, computer graphics were advancing rapidly, but they were still painfully slow to produce. The final shot of Men in Black, where the camera pulls back to reveal Earth as one marble among billions in a cosmic game, required rendering large-scale reflective surfaces filled with swirling galaxies. Each marble contained intricate nebulae, star clusters, and gravitational distortions. It took over 40 hours to generate a single frame. Animators had to monitor the computers constantly, praying they wouldn't crash mid-render and force them to start over. The entire sequence took 2 days of continuous processing, and even then, the team wasn't sure the technology could handle it. But when the final image appeared on screen, it justified every hour. A single shot that redefined scale and left audiences staring in silence. Number 20. The joke about celebrities being disguised aliens appears briefly in the film when Agent K mentions a few famous names, but the original script included a much longer list. Michael Jackson, Madonna, and even a gag implying Elvis didn't die, he just went home. Most of these references were cut for time or legal concerns. Only Elvis stayed as a subtle callback, but Michael Jackson loved the joke so much that he campaigned to appear in Men in Black 2, eventually making a cameo as Agent M. The idea that that fame and extraterrestrial origin were interchangeable became one of the franchise's running themes, and it all started with a list of names that never made the final cut. 3 decades later, Men in Black is still hiding secrets, creatures you never noticed, glyphs you didn't translate, props that foreshadow the ending. It's a film built on layers, designed to reward obsession and curiosity. Every rewatch reveals something new, something strange, something deliberately planted by a team that knows the best Easter eggs aren't the ones you find immediately. Which secret detail blew your mind, and what classic film should we decode next? Because sometimes the truth isn't in the script, it's hidden in the frames.